today for the evening, taking forward our first conversation ahead, I have with me Sarvash Kalra, who is at the helm of Dayal Opticals, a family business which is 6 decades old. And as a young leader, we have who is he taking forward an ambition which is there categorical into ensuring that with determination a person can actually take forward whatever dreams and realities are there to conquer. Sarvash graduates with his bachelor's in management from University of Delhi. Sarvash also plays cricket professionally where he did until 2020. He's taken forward his business where he was really aspiring into getting into the eyewear retailer. He's been there reputing and curating really high-end luxury brands and taking forward some esteemed brands, getting them forward into India. Coming from an entrepreneurial family that owns several ventures, including the well-known restaurant chains like Khan Chacha and Town Hall, his primary vision has been to curate luxury eyewear for the nation. He's been initiating an e-commerce as well as physical expansion out of Delhi NCR, starting with his very first outlet in CP67 Mall, Mohali. Dayal Opticals recently has launched his new expansion into Cartier and a highly exclusive luxury eyewear retailer where he takes forward the super luxury elite brands which are also located in DLF Emporium and the Chanakya Mall in New Delhi. Let's see what he has to put forward to us and spill the beans with his eyewear brandship. Along with him, I have his brother in himself, Sidhant Kalra, who is also a third generation entrepreneur from the same family and takes forward the retail eyewear chain, but he exclusively takes forward the well-known restaurant chain known as Khan Chacha and also Town Hall, to name a few. He earned his undergraduate degree in management from the University of St. Andrews, Scotland. As the managing director and CEO of Khan Chacha, Sidhant desires to deliver a holistic brand where quality and consistency are standard and trusted. With his empowering eye and mean ambition, he's taken forward and expanded it over to 20 locations across our national capital and now is going into pan-India. He's also started his expansion journey by opening his very first outlet in Punjab at CP67 Mall, Mohali. I'm certain that they are going to grow ahead further beyond. Many congratulations for the new opening at CP67, and I'm certain we are going to delve into a lot of learnings by you guys today. And with them, we have in conversation Kanika Rajdev, who's the founder and CEO of MindCog. So can I please request all our jury members to come here to take forward the conversation?
So, firstly, hi.
Hi.
We did have some informal chat, but it's very interesting when you meet your guests offline and then online. This is online because now we're facing this audience and there's this pressure of asking the right questions. So it's always useful to get that pressure off you beforehand. So, but both of them are very kind enough to have that quick chat and had a small banter discussing who's doing what.
I think we needed it more.
Okay, so I think for everybody who's present here, I think a fundamental question that will arise, even for me, what made you choose these two different streams? What made you choose Dayal Opticals? What made you choose Khan Chacha? They're both very different from each other. And was it a natural inclination? Was it circumstantial? How did this happen?
I think it was a bit of both. So I started looking into Khan Chacha in the midst of COVID. And obviously the restaurant industry took, the biggest impact was on the restaurant industry and we were at the helm of it. So my father said that he needs someone to be looking into it. And one of us had to step up in that scenario to be looking into that. And the other one had to look into Dayal Opticals. So out of the two of us, I think we're both foodies, and I think I'm a bit of a bigger foodie. I take that as credit from him. So yeah, I think that's why I ended up choosing that. And I think since we were kids, Sarvash has always gone with our father for the exhibitions to Milan and to Paris. Frequently visited them for buying days because that's where we always get all our products from. So I think his inclination was always towards that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like Sid said towards the end, I've always been intrigued by fashion, and since a very young age, I've been traveling with dad. I have been around eyewear, whether it's in the store, outside India, so it's come to me very naturally. And I am a foodie as well, but like he said, just not as big as he is.
So does it ever happen that you're inclined to give input to him and then no, this is a clear distinction?
So, as we just told you before, so for us, we're very clued in what we're doing, and it's barely we don't really interfere in what the other one's doing unless someone actually has a specific question or like something to share. Like this is what I've tried because both are retail businesses, so both do have a lot in common in that sense. And like we have both chosen CP67 as a common mall to open in. We do have a lot of stores in the DLF malls. So there is a lot of discussion before opening and choosing a certain location. And we are like currently looking for a location, another location in Chandigarh. So we have been having a lot of common talks about that as to which one is better for which brand. Because like some sectors I believe are like better ki everyone has that KD route in Chandigarh where everyone wants to go to Sector 8 and have that KD, which would not be, I think, ideal for like a Dal Opticals, but which could be good for a Khan Chacha. So in that scenario, it is good to have a discussion on it. But I don't think we really add crossheads in that sense.
So basically, you do share notes where you think it's helpful because it's going to be applicable to both businesses. So it sort of adds to like the strength to
Correct.
have those discussions,
Correct.
but not in the nitty-gritties of.
Yeah, not in the nitty-gritties really.
I was going to ask this later, but because you've already brought it up, what brings you to Chandigarh?
I guess for me it wasn't very tough. It was a pretty easy decision because Chandigarh as a city, the trends, the style, the fashion, it's something which is very similar to Delhi. And I have been a part of the business for 3.5 years. So coming to Chandigarh, having a look, and also we have a lot of clients from North India. So it just made it easy for me to take this decision. The control would be easier as well. And like I said, my purchasing and the entire operations would be easier as opposed to opening it elsewhere.
Geographically, it's very close to Delhi. So it is a bit of an easier decision to take on that sense. I think also for us, a big decision was that Chandigarh and Delhi are extremely connected cities in terms of culture, in terms of geographies, of course. But I feel whenever someone takes a flight out of Chandigarh, they do take it through Delhi a lot of the time. So they are very well acquainted with the brands already. So you got to spend a little less on marketing, a little less effort on getting your brand out there. I feel it's just awareness that like, okay, this brand has come in, as opposed to opening somewhere like in a Bangalore, which is of course a big food hub. And there's extremely heavy online ordering there in Bangalore, which is obviously a place where a lot of restaurants do go and it's great for restaurants. But it would be harder to kind of build a brand over there where it's geographically there's a long distance over there and people don't really know about the brand. So we've got to spend a little lesser on the marketing and it's just easier to connect with the population over here. However, I have noticed something that the population here is in fact very opposite to the stereotype, but it's extremely veg-centric, which was a big learning for us. And I think we got like our inventory completely wrong the first week. There was just an excess of all the chicken tikka, and there was all the non-veg kebabs were like overflowing, and we were out of I think veg kebabs in 2 days. What we predicted, ki yaar, there'll be more non-veg. So I think that was a big learning for us, and then we suddenly had to look into our data and then make changes rapidly.
Well, I've been to Khan Market a lot. So for me, when I actually noticed their opticals a few weeks back at CP67, I was very happy. And I think I speak for all of us here that we are happy that you guys have decided to come to Chandigarh. And Chandigarh in some way is like the LA for like all of Punjab and Haryana. So you do get that kind of branding and more visibility if you decide to come to Chandigarh and have presence here.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. So, I mean, thank you for that. But yeah, I mean, Chandigarh was definitely something which was on our minds, and we're very glad that we've opened Khan Chacha and Dayal Opticals over here. And like you said, for the entire Punjab, for us, the first place was the Tri-City. And I guess I'm just happy it turned out this way.
Great, great. Good to know. I'm going to switch the gears a little bit and go a little more technical because you did pick this up. You said data somewhere, okay? And I come from market research background, so for us, like data is all, as they say. I think it's very cliche, but in reality, both are retail businesses. So how do you incorporate consumer feedback in your business, and like how do you do it on a consistent basis? You just mentioned that you work with some hypothesis and you got it wrong.
Correct. So, I mean, we do look at a lot of data, and in the last 2 years, I mean, we both got data analysts on board to run, and we've got specific data analysts for both brands who are constantly churning data, especially in the case of inventory and stuff like that, to manage inventory better and to manage your stocks better. Data comes in a huge part. And when it comes to feedback, I've actually got, we've got a software which consolidates all the reviews we get on each platform, whether it's Zomato, whether it's Swiggy, Google, Instagram, and it just shows us what people are saying about us. So my data analyst segregates that data. He picks out the keywords and kind of categorizes it depending on what the customer's pain points are. And my team is actually supposed, and then he sends it to my team, my operations team, and my team is supposed to actually break it down into 4 categories and give me a response. So what the customer's issue is, what did they do to kind of react to that situation and rectify it, what was the root cause for it, and how they can prevent it from happening in the future. So let's say someone doesn't like a particular product or it's been undercooked. So obviously, I'd say the reactive part would be to obviously replace the product or work into it. Whereas the root cause would be that the team didn't follow the correct SOPs, and then they would align someone to get the particular crew member the SOP. So that's how we use customer feedback and data to take corrective action right then and there. That's something we involve.
So, like you said, even I hired a data analyst a year or a year and a half ago, and that does give me a lot of insights. It does give me insights as to which store is selling which shapes better, which colors are being sold at which stores, whether it's dominant, whether it's sunglass dominant, or whether it's lenses and frame dominant. Apart from that, for me, physical involvement, the personal involvement is very important. So, in fact, I'm almost every day at the store as well. I'm physically there. I'm interacting with clients because for me, it's very important to understand what customers like, what are the trends, and that's what really, really helps me in purchasing, because data only tells you till a certain level. And for me, I really have to touch and feel the product to be able to order it or purchase it. And then once we purchase it, then be able to distribute it among the stores so that the products move much faster. So yeah.
He spends a lot more time on the stores. I think he's there. I think almost every day you'd see Sarvash at the store. I'm usually in our office, and Sarvash would be like half day in office, half day at the stores. I probably go to the stores about twice a week, and I try and like touch 4 to 5 stores on a certain belt. But with him, it's a lot more. I think it's more hands-on where you've got to, because you're selling luxury products. So a lot of times you've got to know what the customer really wants.
Asking the right questions.
It's about asking the right questions and understanding the customer.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I learn a lot as well. I go to different locations because going to all the different locations does tell you that what kind of clientele you have, whether it's in Gurgaon, which is sort of dominated by the corporate culture, or whether it's in Delhi, which has more expat or bureaucrats, businessmen. And you get a good mix. You get to understand people, you get to understand the trends. And I mean, that's what helped us curate eyewear for Chandigarh as well, because you do meet a lot of people roaming around in a place like Emporio, in a place like Khan Market, who is from Punjab. So just interacting with them has taught me a lot.
And I can see that both of you are serving very different consumer segments. He is actually serving, he's selling luxury eyewear. So the consumer for luxury eyewear versus somebody selling food, which is the ticket size is very different.
Correct.
So that makes a lot of difference in who you're actually targeting.
Yeah. So exactly what I said before, coming back to my early point, so that's why when we're choosing a certain location, sometimes it could maybe only work for one of us and it would not work for the other. Like an Emporio would never work for Kanchacha, but it would always work extremely well for the Dial Opticals, like a DLF Emporio mall. And that's why choosing the right demographic and the right location for Chandigarh, the heart of Chandigarh, is a bit of a question in our minds still. If we should go sector 8, sector 35, sector 17. And yeah, I think talking to everyone will probably help us make that decision better as to what people want when they go into a particular market. If they're just going to have a stroll around, do they have an intent to buy when they're going to a certain place? That's what I think would drive the decision to choosing the right geography.
But besides geography, and this probably applies to both of you, thanks to digitalization, now as consumers have access to way more choices. And yes, while you've talked about location of your physical store, but in reality today I can sit at home and order from anywhere, whether it's food or whether it's eyewear. How have you tackled competition from e-commerce?
So with us, with restaurants, the discounting structures really, it's made it really, really competitive for a lot of us. So for newer brands who are giving heavy discounts, it suddenly affects the older brands. And customers don't see that value because there's two kinds of customers I feel in India. Some are mainly looking into value and some are kind of trying to choose a product which is better and a lot. So it really varies what kind of customer segment is the one that you're trying to target. So, but I personally believe if your product is strong and it speaks for yourself, at the end of the day, the customer will find value over there as well, even if it's a little more expensive in that sense. So the online business is difficult in that sense, but Zomato and Swiggy have made it easier because you don't have to really manage your own delivery fleet. You are on their ecosystem, and I feel the customer acquisition cost is quite low on Zomato and Swiggy in terms of at least once you're running an advertisement on them, because the customer has the intent to make a purchase if he's on the Zomato or Swiggy app. So versus once I'm scrolling on Instagram, if I see an advertisement on Instagram, I don't have an intent to really buy. What if I'm not hungry at that point? I could have just eaten a meal and I'm sitting on Instagram. So I don't have that intent to buy. So my ad could not be directed to that exact target segment. Versus if I am on the Zomato or Swiggy platform or the ecosystem, the customer has that intent to make that purchase. So the question is just about which restaurant to make that purchase from. However, it is an ecosystem which is both difficult to be on, at the same time it is advantageous as well if you know how to crack it. So we have got specific teams running these aggregators for us and the business and the aggregators for us. So we have seen a big change post-COVID. I think 30% of our sales mix used to be on online earlier, and it's gone up to like about 45-50% post-COVID. So we have seen that big change. And I think it is the way forward as well.
Okay, so I think let's just go a little bit from the technical questions. Okay, I'm going to switch gears. So I think one very common question which a lot of people have when they hear someone just following through a family business. Not a question, I think sometimes there's a hypothesis. Oh, it's so easy for them. Because they got served everything on a platter. Do you feel there's truth to it? How was your experience? And I want to ask this question to both of you individually.
So I feel like, yes, there might be some truth to it, but no, it's definitely not easy. It's not easy because both of us are third generation owners, and Dial Opticals has been in the industry for over 60 years, 6 decades. And me entering the business, obviously, it's natural with every family business. I think even Sid would agree that when you're dealing with older staff, when you're dealing with older employees, there is sort of a resistance to change, which I feel like is natural. There is no right or wrong, but you've got to sort of build that trust. You've got to build that rapport with them, and the relation is very important. You have to understand the business in and out. It's very important to understand the business. You can't just enter the business and make the changes. So I feel like all of that does take a lot of time and effort, and I wouldn't call it very easy, but yeah, there are a lot of advantages.
I think it's tough to take a business from that 0 to 20 level. So honestly, hats off to our grandfather and father for having cracked that. I think that's a tough journey. But now taking it from that, we've gone pan Delhi already, and we have about 20 outlets for Khan Chacha pan Delhi and about 13 to 15 outlets for their opticals. But I think now taking it pan India is like the next stage. So that's what we're trying to crack now, as to how we can take it there. So it is, of course, it has its own challenges, as Sarvash said, that there is, when you do come in and as a young entrepreneur who's entering the business, the lot of the older staff is resistant to that change which we're trying to make. You're trying to create better systems in the company, trying to digitize things. However, you got to respect that experience that the senior staff has, and you got to use that experience that they have and use them wisely as well, and get them to trust you, and that the changes that you're trying to make do are like advantageous for them as well as for the company. And you need to correlate their goals to the company's goals. That's the most important thing.
And what about your father? Does he still guide you, or is it easy with him?
I think it's, of course, it's got its challenges, but I think his experience is just, he's got tremendous experience in the industry, and just his pure instinct it's really unbelievable. Like, we'll be looking into so much data, and he can make a decision, and it'll be right. And even if it's, let's say, a wrong decision, he'll turn it into something that's right, because he'll stand by that decision and he'll push through. And I think that's something that generation had, which takes time to kind of build for someone who's young. That instinct and building that gut feeling. So we do use him a lot. He's like a great mentor to us. And so he's involved in all the major decisions. He's involved in still. The daily operations and the operational handling is left up to us. And honestly, he's trusted us a lot. It's not easy to do it.
He's given us a lot of freedom.
He's given us a lot of freedom and a lot of control, which is not easy to do, because like, these are his babies which he started, right? And these are his businesses which he kind of created. So it is difficult to let go. And I think he's done a great job at doing that. I mean, I'm a bit of a control freak and a perfectionist. So I don't see myself being able to do that as easily as he did for us.
So I think he had the wisdom to, he knew when to step back and, when to let go of control.
Correct.
And then still step into with his wise
Correct.
inputs.
Yeah. I think it's about passing the baton at the right time.
Let me ask you something more personal. You said that yes, there are advantages to being served on a platter. You got a platform which many have to start from scratch and build it. So obviously there is a lot which is already done for you, right? But having said that, I've seen that some entrepreneurs do not. They actually just wall it away, and like they don't think of making it even bigger. Unlike what you guys are doing, you already said you spend all across Delhi and now you want to go pan India. But what toll does it take on your personal life? Like how do you manage? Like what's your balance between personal and professional?
I mean, for us, I feel like it was pretty easy to balance it out, because we guys really love our work. I think that was the most important thing. So we don't really feel like there should be a real work-life balance. Of course, there are day-to-day glitches, there are hiccups, which does stress you out. I think for him as well, because retail, we are facing clients every day. So there are small technical issues you do face and operational issues. But when it comes to balance, I think it's been very easy and natural for us, because we've grown up in a business family. We've grown up around our father. We've seen that. And we're just so invested in work, even when we're not at work, we're just discussing it in a very healthy way, not in an unhealthy way. And I feel like it's been good, and like we guys structured it where he's not involved in the all opticals and I'm not involved in Khanchacha. I think just spending time together and understanding, taking inputs, but obviously taking the decisions ourselves, I think that keeps it very healthy.
I think that's a great point. In fact, Sarva said, which I haven't thought about. If probably we were handling the same business and then we were like on a holiday, we'd probably be discussing work a lot more. Whereas now it's a lot less, and it's just like a healthy discussion. Oh, this is what I'm doing. This is what you're doing. Oh, this is what's working for me. It's just healthy discussion. And I think we've always been people who had a routine since we've been kids. Both of us have been brought up that way by our parents, where we've always had routine and we can't sit idle or unproductive. So it is, I think after a while, if once we start getting unproductive or we're on holiday for too long, we start feeling guilty. Ki, yaar, we haven't worked for so many days, what's happening at work, stuff like that. So even on holiday, you've got to spend like at least an hour or two to catch up on what the team's doing, look into reports, and balance it out. I think balancing it on even holidays is key for us, like because if we do end up traveling a lot, especially for Sarvash, for work he's traveling a lot. So it kind of overlaps at
Like
a
the
lot of
new
points.
term is work-life integration.
Yes.
And not balance.
Yes.
So when you were growing up, were you actually involved in business from a very early stage, or were you like your parents just let you be like, "No, this is their time, they're kids, they're studying, they're supposed to chill,"
I
and
think-
then later on you ended.
I think our father really groomed us from a very early age. I think every decision he made, he kind of explained the decision, brought us in the situation. You know, a lot of parents sometimes when there's a tough situation at work, in their personal lives, they don't kind of tell you about it. But our parents always made sure that we know what it is, rather than shielding us or protecting us from that information. So we always learned it like that. And business was always a dinner table conversation as Sarvash. So it was quite natural for us to kind of flow into it.
Interesting. I think I'm sure that there are some bubbly questions in the audience. We don't have much time, but maybe we can take a couple of them. So we can. If anybody has a question, we can pass the mic around.
Hi, good evening.
Hi.
So I have a question to both of you. You have spoken about your business, the heredity that you carry forward. You have also spoken about how your father acts as a mentor to you. I am really curious to understand the role of mother, the lady on the board. What role did she play in bringing up the way you are today?
Okay, thank you for your question. I think Sid and I would both agree that so obviously coming from a business background, dad was always at work and it was mom who was invested in our day-to-day lives for the first 18 or at least for the first 18 to 20 years of my life. I think she's taken care of us when it comes to everything, and that also not just staying at home. She is a Pilates instructor. She has been a Pilates instructor for around 8 to 10 years, and doing that, she has still been there at every parent-teacher meeting for me. She's been a part of everything, every decision, and she's been my backbone for sure. And everything apart from like business, she has really been a stress buster for me.
Our mom's also a motivational speaker on some sorts, and she's like a life coach. So I think she keeps us all present, at least, because it's quite easy to not be present when you're running a business, right? Like you're always stressed out about work, and that's where the work-life balance kind of starts getting ruined. And when you have those stressful days at work, so she's really taught us how to be grounded in that sense, and how to ground yourself in those moments and just be present. She's not someone who enjoys business or does it in that sense. So as Sarva said, she's a Pilates instructor and she does that extremely well. And so she's always kept us on that fitness forefront and always made it a point that we maintain that work-life balance. Always have that health side of the lifestyle to ourselves, and add that to our careers as well. Like, don't miss out on workouts. Keep your mind fresh, and just don't kind of ruin that work-life balance. So I think that's something she's really helped us with and kept us grounded.
Okay, I think that speaks a lot. So we've covered, we had a very small time. As I was given this like a 30-minute slot, and I was told that, don't make the conversation heavy, just touch on both personal and professional. So I think that's what we've done in this brief amount of time. I'm sure people want to speak more to you, and I think you guys can actually meet them over the networking high tea later. For now, thank you so much, Sidhant and Sarvash both.
Thank you so
I
much.
enjoyed
And
speaking
thank you
to
for listening to us. Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kanika, and thank you, the duo brothers, who letting us know that what exactly it is being at life with entrepreneurship and ideation.